Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everyone? It's Geoff Mosher and Adam Caplan. I know that was a long one, right? I was feeling my oats. I was feeling it on that intro. Eagles are on a one-game win streak. Can we call that one? No, we really can't. They've won a game. They're looking for their second straight win. Sunday, 4 o'clock, Arizona Cardinals. Adam and I will break this down, all the matchups, get you everything as we always do on our game preview podcast. For those of you who are deep into your fantasy, playoffs and trying to score a victory here and need a little bit of advice, Adam Caplan and his buddy, the guru, fantasy guru, John Hansen, who has this fantasy site, fantasypoints.com, and also does the show, which Adam often appears on, right? Twice a week?
Yeah, twice a week, Tuesday and Friday, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern. You can always hear the replays.
There you go.
On the app, and this is our 17th season of doing this. So
long time.
Yes.
Well, anyway, John Hansen, we did a really good interview with him. It's up on our Inside the Birds platforms, both our YouTube channel and our podcast platforms. I thought John gave away some pretty good advice there. Had some good plays, some good conversation. So if you're looking for that, you know where you can find it. Of course, you'll find us also on Sunday morning at Pino's Palette now, our home of the Inside the Birds pregame live show that we do with also Greg Cassell and Trey Thomas. So that will start at 10 a.m., which is our new starting time for the rest of the year, 10 a.m. to 12 o'clock. If you had a chance, check out Growing the Birds with Trey Thomas and Derek Gunn. They were hysterical, Adam. You got to listen to it.
I watched the other Trey show, and I'm going to get to the D Gunn and Trey show over the weekend.
Yeah, Trey goes off the rails, and D-Gun's got to, reel him back in. Every episode. It's
wait, off the rails on what?
He gets caught up on, it's hard to explain unless you listen to it.
Okay, all right.
He went on a tangent about redheads, kickers, and
I saw the kickers. See, I saw
water.
The photo.
Yeah, he's not a fresh
Twitter. Hilarious.
So check that all out.
Right.
It's fun. Let's go through some injuries for this game because there could be fairly significant before we get into the matchups. From an Eagles side, got a couple of guys in concussion protocol, Adam. A couple of two start. I guess Malik Jackson's actually not a starter anymore.
He's key. He's their top backup D tackle on that D line rotation. He's important. So the remember Jackson had a head injury. They said after the game they had not said it was a concussion until Monday.
Right.
The good thing is, he has progressed to the protocol actually pretty quickly. He all he has to do is get final clearance.
Mm-hmm.
But look, he's got to get that done before they leave on Saturday. So we'll see what happens there. But he was limited. Now this surprised me. I did not expect that Slay would be enough in the protocol that he would get some work on Thursday, but he did, a non-contact, of course. But
that's part of the protocol, of course. Yeah, but you have to. It's part of the protocol, but you have to advance there. So that is
right.
Good.
That's really good. That's great. So that he's got a real shot to play. Michael Jacquet, he missed last week's game. He's got limited work in so far. We'll see what happens later today on Friday.
Right.
But he is progressing. They need bodies in this game. We're going to get into the matchup. My buddies and pro personnel with another team gave me some great stuff. He told me exactly what he thinks is going to happen to the Eagles in this game. He knows about the injuries. I explained it. He asked me a little bit about their secondary issue, and he said this is exactly what's going to happen. I'm like, okay, thank you. I will use that.
Good.
So
Good.
I listen. The Eagles need bodies out there. I get it. They're young. They got a lot of new safeties. They're going to have to play. These young kids who really haven't played before. They just need bodies. They're just going to have to do it and suck it up.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, gosh, we've seen the Eagles have to do that before at times where they have these patchwork secondaries, and they tend to get away with it, right, when they're playing those late-season division games against bad Washington teams or bad New York teams. But this is a late-season non-division game against a pretty decent Arizona team. They're not great, but they are, just in my tape watching, I think they're an interesting team. They're 7-6. They play in a pretty tough division. You can't take them lightly. They
had a great win open the season at the Niners.
Right.
Wildly inconsistent. Murray's been up and down. Their defense has been up and down. They had a great performance last week at the Giants, but you're right. They're not that great. They were really good early in the season. Then they fell in hard times, and we'll get into the matchups. There's some stuff that I've been uncovered, but This is such an intriguing matchup. Probably not for the reasons why some people thought, but my buddy put me onto something which I thought was really intriguing, and I think Vic Wasall also said it in. I did the fantasypoints.com Zoom session on Thursday night, and he talked about. He goes, "I wonder what would happen if the Eagles had to throw a lot because Hurts did not have to throw a lot in his first game." But and I said to him, I said, "It's funny you say that." Because I told him what my friend said, and I agree with my friend here. I think they're going to throw a lot more than they expect in this game.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm trying to see what I should make out of their season. They have some bad losses. They lost to the Lions at home, 26-23. They lost to Carolina, but at that point, earlier in the year, Carolina was actually playing well before the injuries to McCaffrey and DJ Moore now. So maybe that's not as bad of a loss as it looks, but they only had 262 yards. So they struggled in that game. But one thing that does stand out, they have beaten up pretty badly the NFC East so far. They have a 30-15 win over Washington. They've got a 38-10 win over Dallas. And they have last week, I thought that they played really well with a 26-7 win over the Giants. Obviously, Hassan Reddick, all those sacks. But Adam, they opened that game they were able to get a turnover, and the Giants had a goal line stand. So you're talking about and really by an inch. So they were 1 inch away from winning that game, 33-7. So they're an interesting team. They certainly had their way with the division.
You're right. They are an interesting team. And the one thing I just wanted to add, sorry to cut you off, is that the game that they lost to Carolina, they were without 4 safeties, which is almost unheard of.
Wait, they were down 4 safeties?
Yes. That's when Buda Baker had his thumb surgery.
Yeah.
My buddy gave me the name. I don't remember all the names, but they were playing guys that they normally wouldn't even dress. They were only playing on special teams. They had to do it, and Carolina housed them.
Imagine so, yeah. That's like some Eagles offensive line right there.
Right, exactly. Right. They're a fascinating team. I think you framed it right. They've got a lot of upside. They're very gifted, but they're not the deepest team in certain positions. So the loss of Chandler Jones is devastating.
Yeah,
that's why they brought back Golden, who used to be. Remember they drafted him. He left to go to the Giants. It didn't work out, so he's now back with the Panthers. But back with the Cardinals. Had the Eagles, as we get into this, Geoff, had the Eagles not had all these injuries in the secondary, I really believe that they could win this game. I'm not saying they won't or can't, but I would actually, off the bat, would have picked them to win. It's a tough deal as we get into this, man. It's going to be very challenging.
Yeah, let's talk about some of those injuries that in the secondary that you're referring to. Obviously, Avonte Maddox is out.
Yeah.
Jalen Mills is probably going to play cornerback again.
Has to.
Yeah. So your nickel corner will be Nickel Roby-Coleman. If Slay can't make it, I guess you're looking at either Jaquette, if he can play, or Kevon Seymour, or maybe, we've seen Jim do this all the way back in 2017. He did this. He rotated Rasul Douglas and Jalen Watkins in place of Ronald Darby when Darby got hurt. So maybe he'll throw a couple of guys in there.
Yeah, the challenge here is, it depends on who's available. Now, you mentioned Seymour. I'm not saying he's going to start this game, but he's going to play a bleep load of snaps. Because they are going to go 4 wide out the yin-yang, as they say.
Right.
They'll do some 12. The reason why they do 12 is because Max Williams, 87, he's been in and out on the lineup because of he was on IR earlier this season. He's been hurt a bunch. But what they do is you're going to see this 85 Dan Arnold. I mean, we might as well go into the matchups here.
Yeah.
You're going to see Arnold play a lot. Not a lot of sets, but you're going to see him. He's a flexed out tight end. He's a former receiver in college, and he can run. He's had a bunch of touchdowns lately. If I'm the Cardinals, I'm spreading the Eagles out. How in the world are they going to be able to? They go 4 wide. Christian Kirk, who looked like he was kind of a monster season, has been quiet lately, but he is their designated shot play guy.
Yeah.
It's not having Maddox, Geoff, because he can run. He's their guy who can run.
He's a professional. Yeah, even if he's struggling, he's out there, and
competing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there would have been some tough matchups for him because the Cardinals have some speed at receiver with Christian Kirk and with Andy Isabella. So, and then they also have some size too. So
Isabella probably will not dress.
Oh, is he hurt?
What happened was Fitzgerald came back last week from his injury. From being on the COVID list.
Uh-huh.
And Isabella was inactive, healthy. But it's funny you say Isabella. He could fly.
Yeah.
I would, it's funny. I would, if I'm Cliff Kingsbury, I know Hopkins is their guy. I don't dispute that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would go Hopkins, Kirk. I wouldn't use Fitz a ton. I mean, I'm spreading the Eagles out. I want speed on the field. These guys won't know what they're doing if you spread them out. They're too young. The young guys are going to have or just haven't played a lot. This is.
Yeah, boy, with the history that Larry Fitzgerald has against the Eagles, I agree with you, but it would be amazing if they actually decided not to play him. I know he's not the Larry Fitzgerald, but if you've seen his numbers, I mean, I'm sure you know that his numbers against the Eagles are Hall of Fame. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer anyway, but he didn't play the Eagles a lot. I think in 9 games, he has almost 900 yards. And
oh, my God. Is that right? Jeez.
I think he has 11 touchdowns against them. So, I mean, he was good for at least 80 to 90 yards and a touchdown every single time they played. And then in a 2008 NFC Championship game, you may remember, he was good for 154 yards and 3 touchdowns.
And I see him looking up at the clock as he's running.
yeah, that was a sad moment, but he is a Hall of Famer.
Oh my God!
All right, so let me just finish off the injuries. Obviously, Rodney McLeod will not be there, so it's going to have to be a safety rotation of Epps and Kevon Wallace. You're going to see Elijah Riley and Graylin Arnold possibly, and I thought it was pretty interesting that they signed Blake Countess back to their practice.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, this is his third time back or third time as an Eagle, is it not?
Correct. Yeah. In fact, he's drafted as a corner, moved to safety. He's supposed to be a special teams returner. If I'm not mistaken, that might be their only miss in the 16 draft. Certainly one of the few, not many.
Oh man, you're taking me far back.
I just remember
it was a Chip Kelly pick. Was it?
Are
you sure 2016? I thought it was a Chip Kelly guy.
No, Callis was. I'm almost certain that he was drafted in 16.
You might be right. You might be right.
But you're right about Fitzgerald. 9 games.
896
yards, 56 receptions in 9 games. Are you serious?
Yeah. Think about that. 50. That's a season right there for a lot of wide receivers.
Unbelievable. What the hell? Who the hell was my corner? I get he was
6.
Listen, Larry, and remember, Larry, until Bruce Arians got him, Bruce moved to the slot. He was always on the outside. That's fascinating, man.
Oh my God, that's like a on pace for like an 85 to 90 yard catch season just against the Eagles.
Just play the Eagles.
That's just unbelievable.
That's bleeping great.
Oh my God. All right, we'll get into the matchups now. The point we're trying to make here with Rodney out, with Avante out, and maybe even Slay, is that this is not a good situation, and the Eagles are obviously scratching and clawing here with their personnel to try to get.
Well, one
get
thing
through.
I just wonder. Because Seymour did a good job in what they asked him to do. He played a bleep load of snaps last week.
Okay.
He does have playing experience. I know he played very early in his career with Buffalo. Out of all these young kids, he's the only one of this group of young safeties and young corners that's played a lot. I mean, not a lot, some. Okay, for the Bills, I got to think. Look, they got to win this game. They only got 3 games left. You hate to say must win because they're only a game and a half back, but I mean they play Washington one more time. But the fact of the matter is,
I think you can say it's a must win.
Okay, thank you. You said it for me.
Because if they fall 2.5 games, who are we talking about? To Washington?
Yeah, they play Washington. Yeah.
So
exactly,
if they lose and Washington ekes out a win, and then they can't beat Washington for the division.
Right. So you're right. Okay, thank you. Yeah. They got to win. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, again, Washington might lose, and they may not have Alex Smith, but I mean,
Correct.
you're really uphill.
Got it.
If you
I agree.
Yeah. So it's basically must win. All right. Remember, a must-win situation for all of our listeners would be to go over to phlsportsnation.com and read all of their great content. They're covering all 4 Philly teams: the Eagles, the Sixers, the Flyers, and the 76ers, and I might add also the Philadelphia Union, like nobody else, enhancing the fan experience with their coverage and their content and their podcast. So check them out, phlsportsnation.com, and you can find them on Twitter at phlsportsnation. We'll pause real quick one more time for a word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. All right, Adam, let's talk about this new wave modern Eagles offense that they're going to roll into Glendale, Arizona with Jalen Hurts and all their read option and quarterback runs and stuff like that. I mentioned this, I think, on the last podcast that the Cardinals, and I'm a little surprised that the Saints allowed some of the things to happen that did happen, but the Cardinals face teams in their own division that do so much of that stuff, right? The Rams, the 49ers, and then they face Russell Wilson. And then they face their own guy in practice every day, Kyler Murray. So they're going to be pretty well prepared, at least for modern schemes and a mobile quarterback.
I agree. No, there's a saying with coaches, like you could show it to them on tape, you could go on the practice field, but until you see it on the field live in a game, remember there was no tape on Jalen Hurts.
Right.
And that was the beauty of it. Like I was so excited. I know I was so excited going to this game because it's the unknown. And quite frankly, looking at our traffic numbers for our post-game show, which is the best we've had in, I don't know, like 8-10 weeks.
Helps.
Clearly, people loved every second of watching Jalen Hurts. I was blown away. And Greg Cosell does not give out platitudes very well. As you know, he's hard grader because he only goes by tape.
Yeah.
Greg was really blown away. I mean, they didn't ask Hurts to throw a lot downfield. They missed that one on that deep over route to Rager. He just missed him.
Yeah.
Actually, a very strong throw. But the kid handled himself so well. I'm intrigued, and I that's why I think so. Because we had no idea what to expect.
Right.
And he lived up to it. It was great.
I think there was this kind of sense, and I don't blame anybody because I think, a lot of people had it, is that there was the quarterback wasn't the only issue, and we knew that. So that another quarterback stepping into a bad offensive line and a play caller who's struggling himself and receivers who are not experienced and veteran is just going to have difficulties as well. I think what was really impressive about Hurts is the lack of mistakes. The fumble was a mistake, but he didn't take sacks. He made quick decisions. Not hitting Rager is not a mistake. That's just just next time. Just in his first start and not being a guy who was drafted in the top 15 or anything, to be able to execute with precision like that was very, very encouraging. Yeah.
I was blown away. 170 yards is not something to write home about, but Geoff just said it. He did not throw it to the other team.
Right.
There were at least 5 throws. He purposely threw it out of bounds or where no one else could get it. In fact, you said it very well on one of our last shows. You said, remember, he's a coach's son. Well, that's in his brain as a quarterback. I know he can run, but he also knows, as a kid who was raised by his father as a player, and his dad coached football, he knows you're taught, throw the ball away if you don't have it. He did.
That's right. Yeah. And so, and again, I think fairly people just thought that this might be a disaster. And the fact that it was just was a win.
Raise your hand.
And not a disaster. I don't have to.
Why, Geoff?
I picked a win.
No, you said it on our show last Friday. Although you did want to picking the Eagles to win, you did say, I'm not so sure if I trust this coaching staff.
That's right.
And I was right along with you. That's why I picked against them. And they did a phenomenal job. I said on our Wednesday show, I think, and I said it Monday and Wednesday. I said, listen, I got to give it up. As much as I've criticized these coaches on offense this season, they've deserved it. Not just us saying it's people we speak with around the league, but they did a great job. And they're going to be even way more challenged this week because this is going to be a whole different ball of wax.
Well, I'm curious what your personnel person had to say about Arizona, specifically as we're talking about the Eagles offense against the Arizona defense, because my observation in the tape that I watched on Thursday was that they're a very fast, athletic front. They really are quick to the ball. We've seen Jordan Hicks. We know when he's healthy, he can fly to the ball. Their other linebacker, DeAndre Campbell, I think.
Devondre Campbell came from the
Devondre Campbell. Just gets off blocks, is fast. And then, of course, they're outside guys with the rookie Isaiah Simmons and Hassan Reddick and Marcus Golden. To me, they look like a very fast, aggressive front. And
exactly. Campbell has a lingering ankle injury. He should play. They're starting to figure it out with Simmons on how to use him. They'll use him as a rusher. They'll use him as a cover person.
Yep.
He's number 48, by the way. I talked to a team in the NFC South or North, I can't remember, earlier this week, who said that he will be what this guy said he will be the best nickel linebacker in football in 2 years if he's used correctly. He said he's incredibly gifted, really good kid, athletic and coverage wise, he could be special. It's just that you have to know how to use him. If you don't use him correctly, it'll never work.
Right.
It's like Reddick, and I'm not blaming because they've had a couple changeovers and coaches, but Hassan Reddick, who had the 5 sacks this past game against the Giants, up to this season, he's been a major disappointment. He was available in a trade. They just couldn't find anyone to take him last year.
Sometimes the best trades,
Yeah, exactly right. It's the ones that you don't make. But he now has a role. He absolutely should have been a 34 outside linebacker from the start.
Yeah.
What happened was he was in the Senior Bowl. I was there that year, and he had an unbelievable week. He went from having 0 chance to be a first-round pick to like, oh, my God, this guy's doing everything.
Right.
Well, he got overdrafted. That's what happened.
Well, I know Vance Joseph struggled when he was the head coach of the Broncos, was it?
Correct.
It was only about 2 years, I think they gave him.
Yeah.
But I do remember when he was a defensive coordinator, he was highly regarded. And, just watching the tape that I did, they will come from a lot of different directions, Adam. They will disguise well. All the things we say we wish Jim Schwartz would do. But, again, this is a 3-4, so allows you to be a little bit more multiple. But I mean, I must have counted 5 or 6 different guys who rushed the quarterback in the tape that I watched.
Yeah, you'll see Reddick do it, obviously, because that's what he's there to do. Marcus Golden is back. He's not the same player. He had an ACL injury years ago, but he's a decent pass rusher. Not having Chandler Jones, look, he's a game changer. You're talking about top 3 outside linebacker in the National Football League as a pass rusher. Unfortunately, he's out for the season. Safety Buda Baker's so good, such a great all-around player. They've had issues at the other safety spot because of injury. So Chris Banjo, you might remember, he's a journeyman special teams player.
Oh yeah,
he's starting at free safety because they don't have anybody else because they've had too many injuries. My friend said he couldn't remember the exact name. He goes, dude, when they play the Panthers, he said it was absurd. They were putting out guys that shouldn't have been on the field. The Panthers took advantage of it. So couple injury notes here that we should make people aware of.
Okay.
The guy's name is Jordan Phillips, who they got from Buffalo. He's a good football player. He's one of their starting D linemen. Unfortunately, he keeps having issues with his hamstring. He was on injured reserve for it. He came back last week and re-injured his hamstring. He probably will not play.
Right.
Justin Pugh with his calf injury, one of their starting guards, doesn't look good for him with his calf strain. Their kicker's not going to be available. Zane Gonzalez, he missed last week's game. They've got, I think, an undrafted kid kicking.
What a weird year. I bet he's better than Jake Elliott right now, though.
I know. Jake Elliott's got to get himself together.
I got to give Elliott, somewhat of credit. I mean, he did his media Zoom this week, and he took total accountability. He was asked a lot of questions about why he stinks, basically, and he did not lose his temper, as he shouldn't, but I'm just giving him, he faced the fire.
And then, it's Mike Nugent, the former Bengal, and he's been with a bunch of teams, right? He's their kicker for now. Jalen Thompson, again, one of the safeties I've been talking about who should be playing. Unfortunately, he has a lingering ankle injury, probably not going to play. That's it pretty much.
Right.
But and Chase Edmonds, the number 2 running back, has got an ankle injury. We'll see if we don't know yet whether.
That's pretty big. Okay. Well, so getting back to their defense, it seems like their secondary's not great. It's all right. Obviously, Buda Baker is a very good safety. He's a
great player. Yeah.
But obviously, they're kind of getting by there with Banjo at the other safety. Patrick Pederson, not the same that he was 5 or 6 years ago. Formidable still. But to me, it's from what I saw, they've got a really nice, fast, aggressive front. They can get out the quarterback. They can move you off your mark. They can sack you, run you around a little bit, and that takes the pressure off your secondary.
Correct. And Jerry Kirkpatrick, the former first-round pick for the Bengals, is starting opposite Pederson.
Yeah.
They've had a bunch of injuries in their secondary. As I said, it's safety. It's a beatable secondary. Okay. Pederson's had his games where he's played great. He's had some games where they've gotten him. I'll be interested to see how the Eagles attack them because we don't have enough information on Hurts because he's only started 1 game. The question now is, okay, as we start the Eagles offense versus the Cardinals defense, what will be the Eagles approach here? This is a tough call here because the Eagles what's going to happen is the Eagles might have one plan, but I'm telling you, the Eagles are going to give up a lot of points in this game defensively. And here's the question that I would have. Do you come out not – I know that typically Pederson doesn't come out running, and I've always agreed with that. However, this game, Hurts' first road game.
Yeah.
With all the injuries they have in the secondary, do you shorten the game, Geoff? Well, how would you approach it?
That's a great question, Adam. I mean, it's never seemingly in Doug's playbook to want to shorten the game. Like he will, like last game, help the quarterback with quarterback-friendly schemes. And if you think back to Pederson's first 2-3 years, the Eagles were great at time of possession. But it wasn't because they were balanced that much or intentionally trying to take the air out of the ball. They didn't really have deep threats.
No, they got leads early. They got big lead early.
Yeah, they were just, Aguilar was kind of a deep threat. Torrey Smith would occasionally, but they like to work the ball down the field. And, Carson was so good on third down for the first few years of his career that they would just move the chains. So I don't know what Doug does. Like, does he run the ball a little more? I tell you what, I saw Arizona, obviously playing the Giants, and Daniel Jones, even though it was coming off an injury, he's always a threat to run because he's out there. And they played that zone read pretty well. So you saw last week.
Yeah, he didn't even run it. Yeah, he didn't have one run.
He didn't run it. But they kept bringing a safety down late to kind of guard the edges. So you saw last week that Jalen was able to kind of outflank some guys, just first third down. He outran Demario Davis to the sideline and picked up the first down. I'm not sure he's going to be able to run that many times to the edges and be able to move the chains. Yeah,
because Campbell, assuming he could play on his ankle injury, he can move. You nailed that one. He's absolutely can do that. I do want to spread the Cardinals out. I don't think they're that great other than Pederson at corner. Kirkpatrick is still a decent player, but you could spread them out. I would do that. The Eagles obviously are so deep at receiver, they could certainly do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to take the same approach as they did last week. You'll have some designs for Hurts to run it. Some you won't. It's up to him whether he sees grass and he thinks he could go, then go. I'm good with that.
Right.
I mean, 15 runs, the other 3 were kneel downs, but it's a little bit much. But you know what? If you've got it, go get it. I have no problem with it. Byron Murphy is going to be, I think he is their third corner for now.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that you can beat. Simmons is playing a lot. He's playing nickel. Angelo Blackson came over. He's a D tackle. You might remember if you really follow the NFL, he used to be with the Texans.
Yes.
It's a pretty good D tackle, signed for decent coin. But this is not a great defense. They've had some issues this season. They've Jordan Hicks is not even playing close to the contract that he got him. He's solid.
Right.
But $10 million a year was ridiculous. That was crazy money, but good for him. He was a free agent.
Yeah.
I'm going to spread them out is what I'm going to do. I'm not saying you can't run the ball enough to help to stay ahead of the. See, the thing is they were up 17-0, so we don't know last week. They haven't played from behind with Jalen Hurts, so we don't know what that's going to be like.
Right.
But I do want to try to score early. I don't want to ask him to have to come back on his first road start to have to bring the team back unless I have to. So I would like to stay ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather not give them the football because of the Eagles' issues in the secondary. I know you don't want to go in thinking you're going to be behind. I understand that. But they have some certain challenges in this game that would concern me.
Now, they're only allowing 6.27 yards per passing play on defense. 5th best in the league, right behind the Rams, Steelers, Washington, and Baltimore. And I'm wondering what is I didn't get a good feel for why they're so good at that. Do they play a lot of too deep zone and leave everything underneath? I thought I saw a lot of blitzing, so it's hard to play too deep and play a lot.
I think part of it's their schedule. Okay, part of it's their schedule. They beat an awful Jets, the worst NFL offense I've seen in 30 years. Okay.
Yeah.
They beat the Cowboys without Dak.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Lions game was crazy. What happened was Matt Patricia, because he was scared to lose because he was trying to win. All they did is try to come out, run the ball, win time in possession, and not let the Cardinals get it. It was an odd game. They won by 3 in Arizona. I'll never forget that game. It was some of the worst coaching I've ever seen. When you're trying not to, trying to keep your job in week 3 for Christ's sake, which was foolish coaching. The Panther game, I'll give them a pass. So that was when they played without 4 safeties.
Yeah. Man, they are so Jekyll and Hyde.
I know. The Patriots game was crazy. That's when they hemmed in Kyler Murray with a spy. They played what they did is they played 5 defensive linemen in that game almost entirely, the Patriots.
Right.
So some of it is a mirage, their per pass attempt. I'm not buying it. But again, if you're the Eagles, you only got 5 linemen here. You can't have one guy get hurt, Geoff. I mean, what the hell are they going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. Here's how screwy Arizona is. They are the 8th best team in the league at sacks per pass attempt. Right. Yeah. Eagles, of course, are number 1. So normally when you're that good getting sacks, you're getting it off the field on 3rd down and you're intercepting balls. Now, interception rate, they're middle of the pack. 3rd down, middle of the pack, right dead even, maybe 16th, 15th, or 16th. And red zone, they're awful.
I know.
I don't get it.
I know.
Like the 5th worst red zone team in the league. This is a weird defense. So
let me tell you something. Did you see what Tyler Lockett did earlier this season in Week 7?
Yeah.
Lockett absolutely murdered them. They shut down Metcalf, but Lockett had 15 for 203. He beat Patrick Pederson repeatedly in that game.
Yeah.
You got to go by their schedule. See,
who's the guy though? Who's the guy for the Eagles that's going to capitalize the way Lockett did? They don't really have a possession receiver.
But what I'm saying is,
mm-hmm.
There are opportunities there. You said it earlier. Peterson's not the same player. The Dolphins moved the ball well in them pretty well. So did the Bills. They went in Arizona 1. They hit that was a Josh Allen game there. They were able to move the ball pretty well. There have been opportunities here. Cole Beasley crushed them in the slot. Diggs got them in that game.
Yeah.
There's some games where they played well, but they beat Washington, a bad Washington offense. I'm not convinced that you can't score, but I'm just so worried about the Eagles secondary. Again, if they didn't have these issues, I think they're stealing this game, but it's going to be hard.
It's possible. Here's a question I would like to be answered this game, right? And I think it's fair. I don't expect a complete package from Jalen Hurts after 2 games. But after 1 game, it's pretty clear that he does a great job moving the ball, obviously with his legs, but also with the quick passing game. He hit Miles Sanders in the flat. He hit Rager over the middle on the crossing route, right? He did a nice job. He missed Rager on the deep over, though, and he didn't really put the ball in the air a whole lot. That might have been the only time he really threw the ball more than 20 yards in the air, one that he missed to Rager.
Correct.
And that's a part of his game that I think will have to come to him if he's really going to be a long-term player or anything like that, or win some of these games down the stretch. Even I don't think you can dink and dunk all the time. The NFL gives you too many opportunities to take shots down the field, or at least get the PIs, and you at least have to be willing to do it. So I would like to see him attack the perimeter when it's there. But in order to do that, Adam,
they protect.
Yeah, well, you have to get protection, and then also you have to be willing to kind of hang in that pocket there as that play develops.
He was last week. I know we bailed some. No, but what I'm saying is the touchdown to
Alshon?
17, Alshon. Yeah,
that was a quick fade, a 3-step and a throw.
That's not what I'm talking about. He got hit hard. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. He's got to show the willingness to pull the pin and not run. That'll come. As we said on our Monday morning show, they got the tape now. They're going to show him the plays, as Jalen himself said. They say left foot on the table. What was his?
Left money on the table.
Right. He had a certain. Okay. That was. I know what that meant. There are plays that they should have had, and he knows it because he's. You learn from tape. The tape will tell you everything, and you're absolutely right. There were plays they should have had where he probably could have waited a little bit longer because the protection for the most part was phenomenal in that game. How can you believe that?
It was. And by the way, I'm a little concerned about that too, but only because this is a different type of defense. This is more of a speed than brawn on the edges, and Milot is so big, and my God, Matt Pryor is just not equipped to deal with speed.
I agree. This is going to be a problem.
He's not equipped to deal with much, but at least he's a big guy. So if you had a bull rusher and a brawny guy, he can kind of butt heads with him. This is the case where
the word in scouting with Pryor, he's a little bit too finesse for his size, believe it or not.
Really,
as massive as he is, he doesn't always use his strength. With that, that's what that means. He doesn't use his strength effectively at times.
Right. Big V would get ripped for that occasionally. being a little bit too finesse for the size. Yeah. Well, we'll see. All right. That was good. That was interesting. We will obviously have our eyes on the Eagles offense, and we'll get into it even more so on Sunday during our pregame show. I know I've already talked to Greg, so he's got some interesting breakdowns on, on that. We will transition into the defense and talk about the Eagles defense, which is very beat up. But first, it feels like just yesterday, Adam, that Los Angeles was lifting basketball's most coveted prize. And since then, we've introduced a new class of professional basketball players through the draft and seen a few marquee names switch teams. Lucky for us, sports fans, DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is here to kick off the 2021 basketball season with a no-brainer for all customers, new and existing. If you haven't tried DraftKings Sportsbook yet, head to the App Store now because you really don't want to miss this. To celebrate the return of basketball, listen up to this, fellas and ladies. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you a plus 75 point spread on the team of your choice on opening night. That's right. All you have to do is bet on any team opening night, and if they don't lose by more than 75 points, you will double your money. This Saturday, there'll be an endless amount of action to get in on, so don't wait. Head to the app now. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code ITB when you sign up to get a plus 75 point spread on opening night for a shot to double your money. That's promo code ITB to get a shot at doubling your money on opening night for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Bonus comprised of first deposit. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, code 1-800-GAMBLER. Wow, 75 point spread. That's amazing.
Smokes. What is the code's ITB?
Yeah, promo code ITB plus 75.
That is phenomenal. Obviously, they want people to. They want to basically giving money away.
They did this. If you remember, for opening week, the Chiefs play. Who did the Chiefs play on that first Thursday night?
Rematch of the Super Bowl, I would think, right?
No, it was. It was supposed to be, but it wasn't. Right?
Oh.
They did not play the. I
can't
remember who they beat in the Super Bowl.
Week one, it was the Chiefs Texans.
Right, that's what it was, and they did a special for that one too, where I think it was like, the Chiefs is plus 100 on it. So as long as nobody lost by more than 101 points, you were going to win. So they just like to generate interest. I think it's a great promo. Yeah, free money. So take it while you can get it.
Yep.
All right. Let's talk about the Eagles defense. We'll start with the defensive line because that's really going to have to carry the team here down the stretch. Against this, I guess what we really should do is talk about the Arizona offensive line. You said Pugh might not be able to play, right? The right guard?
Yeah, the left guard, right.
Left guard.
And they took Justin Murray, who had hurt his handler this season.
Mm-hmm.
Look at my notes here. He started at right guard this past game. They're not great in the interior. That's somewhere the Eagles could absolutely win. Quarterbacks hate when you go up the middle against them. Kelvin Beachum, you might remember him as a longtime left tackle for the Jets. They got rid of him. He's now the right tackle in with the Cardinals because I think the one guy opted out, the right tackle.
Right.
And DJ Humphries is a pretty good left tackle. He's he was disappointing early in his career, but he's turned out to be a pretty good left tackle.
Yeah, he was a guy who after a year and a half or 2 years you were really worried about.
Exactly.
And, he seemingly has turned it around. And same thing with Pugh, by the way, who I kind of thought might be out of the league because he kind of struggled at times with the Giants and was injured. But I guess he's found
he's decent.
A nice
He's got positional versatility. This is a very beatable offensive line. The Eagles, if this D line continues to feel that urgency that they've had lately, will dominate. Now, here's the question: do you spy him? I asked Greg Cosell this on Thursday. He said he does not remember a time when Schwartz spied an athletic quarterback, a guy that could really move.
No, in fact, if I think about what he does, is he likes to pressure them from either their opposite side. Kind of get him on the run. Like if it's Russell Wilson, he likes to pressure him from the right to get Wilson on the run to the left and things like that. Oh,
and by the way, Murray is not an inside runner. He's big. He's called the term says he's a sidewinder. If you're watching us on YouTube, he goes or. So the question is, how do you defend him? And that's why the Patriots went with a bear front, which is five D linemen.
Yeah.
They said, you're not getting past us. whether you want to call it a mush rush, a bear front, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Right.
That they were hemming him in when Murray struggled in the game. So did Cam Newton, but Cam Newton, it's another story for another time.
Yeah.
They did a good job against Murray. They made him uncomfortable. And this is not what Schwartz does, so I'm fascinated to see what he does on Sunday.
So, right, if you're not going to play a bear front, because you're right, I have not seen Jim do that and essentially play 5 men on the line of scrimmage. I will say he has played Singleton almost in like a stand-up fifth guy. He'll put him right in the gaps there to create a sort of, I don't know, pseudo bear front where you've got 5 guys there, but he
might drop him in and back, right.
Here's the thing: you got to be careful about what you could also bring a safety, which Jim likes to do, and play the cover one, right? So if you're going to bring a safety into the box, it's most likely going to be Kevon Wallace because he's better against the run.
Correct.
And Epps is your passing guy, but then you're really kind of, you're leaving yourself a little bit vulnerable on the edges with Marcus Epps back there as your deep safety. I mean, he's not bad, but he's just not Rodney McLeod, and
no one is. Yeah,
you got DeAndre Hopkins on one side, and you might have Kirk or somebody else on the other side. That's a rough.
They're going to take their just the way you set it up. They're taking their shots. Kirk was never a deep threat really until this season. They've taken their shot plays with him. He's been pretty quiet for a while, but this is a game of. Now again, the Cardinals do not have a good offensive line at all. But if they protect, if they could protect. If I'm Cliff Kingsbury, I'm taking my shots with Kirk. He's without Rodney McLeod, with these young kids playing at corner. Now Slay has a chance to play, and Jaquette with the hamstring. We'll see. He's got length, but there's some advantages the Cardinals have here, and they're either one or two, I think, in 4 receiver sets or so-called 10 personnel.
Right.
They got the receivers to do it, man. And I like your point about Andy Isabella. I know that because Fitz is back, they're not using him. Hell with that. I'm making him. Sure. I'm having him active, and you can't cover all that speed with Isabella and Kyler Murray.
Right.
I know D-Hop's not
Christian
fast,
Kirk.
But, and who?
Christian Kirk.
Yeah, Kirk, who's shown he could run. Surprisingly, shit, I'm doing that all day.
Why is that surprising? Didn't he run like a 4.3 at the guy?
I don't know what he ran at the combine, but they've not used him until this year as a shot play guy.
Yeah, he went to is it A&M or
A&M? Yeah, in fact, I think Aaron Moorhead might have coached him there.
Yeah, listen, he's only like 5'8", right? So if he's that short, he better have speed.
Kirk's got to be taller than 5'8".
Oh, was he? I thought he was like one of those really short guys. Maybe I'm exaggerating at 5'8", but I thought
Andy Isabella's small. That I know.
That's the short guy. All right, I'll have to go take a look at Christian Kirk. I thought he was like a really small guy.
I thought he was like 5'11". I'll check.
I'm sorry, 5'10".
Okay,
that's what he is. Well, if you're 5'10" in this league, you better be able to run. You're not going to be getting jump balls.
He's a good player. He's been up and down. He's number 13 in your program.
Yeah.
This is where Butler, who's with the Eagles on their practice squad.
Hakeem
Butler, thank you. Yeah. He just didn't think he could run. And that's why he's no longer a Cardinal.
Yeah, he's tall and about 200 and something pounds. So
yeah.
So I'm wondering what your personnel person told you about just like Kyler and their offense in general. My observation was that they're a strange offense, Adam. They're like more of a horizontal offense than a vertical one. You talked about taking shot plays, but they don't take that many. But they do have a lot of like really complex, intricate. I guess that's part of the air raid offense. Like they'll have trips right, like 3 receivers to right, and one will run a high, one will run a low, one will run an out. And, they're really just trying to confuse and make teams try to pattern match and get lost and things like that.
So what you're going to see is 85 Dan Arnold is going to be their slot tight end. They'll use Max Williams in a block. The only time Max Williams catches it when he's the check down guy.
Maybe he had a bad game, but I thought he did a terrible job blocking against the Giants too.
I didn't see the tape, but I just know my buddy said he's only there to block. Max Double X Williams, as I've always called him.
Yeah, former Ravens first-round pick, I believe.
Second.
Oh, that's right, second-round pick. Yeah.
Yeah. He's only there to block. And Arnold he's kind of like, well, he's not the athlete Robert Tonyan is.
Mm-hmm.
Tonyan, I'm sorry. Tonyan. Bobby T with the Packers, but he's used in a similar fashion. He's scored a bunch of touchdowns lately. So when he's in the slot, you got to keep an eye on him.
Mm-hmm.
He just doesn't get a lot of targets.
Right.
Edmonds they use on third down. They'll Drake will get some catches. He wasn't earlier in the season. Kenyon Drake, 41, who's their starting running back. He's had some injuries this season, but he's come on in the second half. But they are a super 10 personnel team. That's majority of what they do.
Okay.
Everything else is all 12 because they want Max Williams to block and Arnold to run, and they'll take shot plays to him, man. You watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting though that Hopkins has I think he already has 1,150 yards, but he only has 5 touchdowns. So it seems like they've turned him into a little bit of a possession receiver there, the way that offense works.
Run after the catch, right? Right. Run after the catch. But yeah, last week he crushed the Giants. I was surprised by that.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. Did Bradbury get? No, he was playing in that game.
Oh, he played. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, so it's very interesting to see, and I wonder I think the big question here is what kind of game plan that Jim comes up for with Kyler Murray, because the Eagles have really struggled against running.
How would you do it?
Quarterbacks.
Okay. You be the D coordinator. How would you do it?
Well, you're very limited here, and everything that you do is going to have it's going to have a negative. Potential negative, right? Like I said, if you bring an extra safety in and try to have them around the perimeter, then you've got to play a cover one, and you leave your seams exposed against, a safety and a couple of corners who are, if Slay is out and Maddox is out, then you're asking these guys to be on an island, right? I mean, ordinarily you would love to see some cover two, some 2 deep, and keep everything underneath. 2 deep in some zone, because that keeps it all underneath and it keeps the eyes on Kyler Murray. But when's the last time you've seen Jim play a predominantly cover 2 scheme? Ever?
Well, yeah, I know he doesn't really believe in it. They're a cover 3 team, cover 1.
Right.
The question is now, here's another question. Do they go less man, more zone? The Eagles historically, from people who I trust, tell me they are a bad zone team.
Well, they played mostly zone. They played mostly zone last week against the Saints.
Historically, right. I don't know how much. I'd have to ask. We'll ask Cosell Sunday on our show. But in the past, they've been an awful zone team. That's you bring Slay, and obviously you're going to play a lot of man. And they've not given up a lot of deep balls this year. Mm-hmm. This past game, Sanders had a touchdown. He should have had a second. But I'm to the point now. Now we got to see who dresses on Sunday. But without Maddox, who's their fastest corner. And it's coming. 4 wide is coming. Mm-hmm. So they're going to spread you out. You can't match up with them man-wise. I'm going zone.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Right?
And if Jim's going to do his normal cover 1, cover 3, 1 deep safety, which I think he's going to do, then I do think you have to blitz your linebacker. Not all-out blitzing, not a whole lot of that, but you've got to force the issue with Kyler and get him out of the pocket and hopefully to his left side. So I would send my 4-man with an extra guy, usually Singleton, and try to have them force Murray to get off the spot as much as possible, because he can be a little wild back there, and when he starts running, he's not the best all the time at keeping. Well, at least in the limited tape I was watching, when he runs, he's going to run, and he doesn't always look up the field to see who's open. So
correct, but he's not like Mahomes that way, where Mahomes has always got his eyes downfield. When he decides he's running,
he's a running back.
He is unbelievably explosive on the carpet. But this one is grass. In Arizona, they bring the trays in with the grass. Mm-hmm. But he's explosive as hell, and you got to play with discipline. The run fits have to be good.
Yeah.
Whatever the assignment football, whatever the plan is, mm-hmm. Schwartz has got to be right. Whatever he decides to do, Kyler Murray is a different type of runner. He's not your typical run around quarterback who just makes unblocked defenders miss. He goes wide right, wide left, because he's only 5'9". Russell Wilson's 5'10" and a half. He's built his body up, and Russell Wilson is a scrambler. He's not a runner. Where Kyler is a runner.
Yeah, and by the way, that might be a very legit excuse for why it's difficult for him to keep his eyes up the field. At 5'9", if he's scrambling in and out of the pocket, I don't know what he's able to see with guys in front of him. So, and he's an explosive runner.
True.
So I'm not knocking him for being a runner of the football. It works. Yeah.
It's hard, man. This is such an intriguing matchup because yet again, I don't quite know what's going to happen here. With if the Eagles get behind here, which I think is going to happen, does Pederson do the usual abandon? I hate to say abandon the run game. They're not a run team anyway.
Right.
But now, does Sanders get the ball in the pass game? Because he sure did last week.
Sure hope so.
Do you now you and I have been calling for this all season. Do they start lining him up in the slot? They start using him effectively against a team that you can do it against? I can't answer that, but you know what? I would.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they are going to have to be more creative this time around than they were last week. All right. It's the moment of truth is upon us. Time for Adam and I to give our predictions. Of course, we'll check out the line first, courtesy of our friends at DraftKings. The Eagles are, last I checked, Adam, they are 6-point road dogs with a over-under total of 49. Now, let me check. I wanted to check what the money line is because I know there's a lot of, and this happens all the time. When the Eagles win a game, it's like all of a sudden, like the dark cloud dissipate and they're going to the Super Bowl. I even heard on some sports talk stations, by Wednesday it was, are you ready to embrace a playoff run? It's like, wait a minute. On Tuesday, your topic was, do you really believe that Jalen Hurts is good? And on Wednesday, your topic is, are you ready to, I'm all for a playoff run. Like what? How do you go from one to another overnight? But hilarious. That's just, the nature of the business, I guess. I'm trying to see what the money line was, but obviously it'll be pretty good for the Eagles, probably like plus 130 or something like that. Do you think, I wouldn't be against anybody throwing a few bucks on the money line there, trying to make like 2-1 or 3-1 there. It's dangerous, but I mean,
it is. Like last week, they caught the Saints by surprise, and they just, the coaches, I mean, both sides of the football, this is the best they've coached all season by far.
Right.
Now they go on the road. They've got all sorts of injuries in the back end of their defense.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the kind of team you'd love to be playing the Giants like this. If you had to play with the Giants, you'd be okay with it. Right. Not against the Cardinals. It's the worst team to play like that.
Right.
If Murray was a stationary quarterback, I would feel a lot better with their chances with their D-line, but he's not. I just don't know if Schwartz could win a game like that. He may be smart intellectually, but that doesn't mean he's the smartest football coach in the world.
Mm-hmm, right.
I don't. Sometimes Jim does it a couple times this season and go, what the hell was he thinking this game?
Right.
Prove me wrong. I'm all for it. That's just the way I look at it. This is going to be a tough one. I don't see the Eagles winning this game. I was wrong last week. You were right.
Mm-hmm.
What is the spread on this game again?
6-point spread.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cardinals here. I'm going to go with the Cardinals 27-20.
27-20. So the Cardinals are going to cover, is what you're saying.
Yep, I think they will find a way to win because they're going to take advantage. My buddy swears that they're going to spread them out. He said, because I gave him all the Eagles injuries, he's like, I'm telling you what's going to happen. They're going 4 wide the entire game. I'm like, well, don't they usually? He goes, no, they play plenty of 12.
Yeah, they do play more 12 than I thought as well.
Yeah, he says they play 87 and 85. They're playing 87 because he's there to block, and they play 85 as a detached tight end. I'm like, okay, but I agree with you, man. I said they're spreading them out, and Eagles won't be able to stop it.
By the way, the money line is for the Eagles is at plus 226. So that's pretty good. If you
pretty good number. Wow.
You put $100 down, you paid out $326, so you won $226 bucks. Not bad. I am with you, Adam. I actually see, I don't want to call it a shootout because in the NFL these days, a shootout is like a 38-31 game. But I think the Eagles are going to be able to score some points, just not enough. Like you said, I have the Cardinals winning 28-24.
Okay. What's the over-under?
But I kind of think the over-under is 49.
You know, it's funny. I do believe this one could definitely go over. We don't know how Jalen Hurts will play when he's asked to throw a lot. He hasn't been asked to do it yet. This is going to be the first time, I think.
That's funny because the average of ours, you're saying 27-20, so that's 47 points. I'm saying 28-24, that is 52 points. The average of that, I believe, would be around 49. So that is the over-under there. I'm saying this. I tend to think it's going to be like I can see this being a 28-17 game, and the Eagles get a late touchdown to make it 28-24.
So I kind of,
like I just think that the Cardinals will control this one.
Yeah,
for most of the game.
I agree,
but they won't be able to pull away. That's just
they'll go dime, right? They'll go dime. Yeah,
they'll get in that prevent.
As you're saying it, I see it. I see the vision of what this could be looking like. But
that's just guarantees it's not going to happen that way.
Right, of course. But it really would. And I know it's hard for this to happen, but boy, it really would help them if they could get an early lead.
Yeah.
But I'm so fascinated to see what would happen if they get behind, to see if they would see how they would approach Hurts in terms of the play calling. And because, again, the Eagles have enough bodies to spread the Cardinals out here.
They do. All right, well, we'll talk about it more on Sunday when it's you, me, Trey Thomas, Greg Cosell, 10 a.m. on our Inside the Birds YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter platforms. Make sure you catch it. It's going to be a great show. And also, as we talk about DraftKings real quick, I believe we've got it out there on our Inside the Birds Twitter account, @InsideBirds. Our link, if you want to get involved in our DraftKings DFL league. DFS? What do you call it?
Yeah.
DFS, yeah.
I got to do a better job. I'm going to use John Hansen's. John's really good. He went to DFS. I got to figure out the better strategy, because I've only had like two top 10 finishes so far.
Yeah.
I'm kind of new to daily, so I'm trying to get the hang of it.
I agree with you. I've been very frustrated by my inability to be a top 5 finisher. So I've been putting more effort into trying to figure it out lately.
Yeah, so I'm going
to. I had a really good week last week. It's just that one of my players did not play. I think it was a game time. It was Mike Williams.
Oh,
the Chargers, because he was questionable, and they said he was going to try to give it a go. And I liked the matchup, and then he didn't play.
He played Thursday night, but yeah, he's got.
That's what it was. Yeah, but like 4 or 5 of my guys had the fire, but him and one other guy who just didn't do anything really dragged me down, or else I think I would have been.
I started, because the matchup was great. I put Gio Bernard in there. I'm like,
oh yeah,
man. That's it. That ship sailed.
Definitely. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Big thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check him out on his YouTube channel. It's called Sports Talk with Broads, and you can find his work also on Twitter @Broads81. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the Birds.